Tonight,
It should have been me.
tonight, we talk about four of the most influential
Horsemen.
wrestlers of all time. We might even put Sarah O'Malley in there.
I
Of
swear to fucking
all
God.
time, okay? Four of the most influential. But who
Now if it
are
was managers.
they? Welcome in to the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, I mean always, he means always, she means always, they mean always, you mean always, an instant classic.
Danny Dunn! Hi, JJJ.
We will see you on the flippity dippity. Oh yeah.
What is going on? I know, Casey, you're upset. I get it. Give me a second. What is going on, good people? DJ here, Justin over there, Casey down there, Adam right beside him. This is the Instant Classic Wrestling Podcast, the only podcast that is always, and I mean always, an instant classic. Yes, Casey. Comment on the music. Comment. I know. But
I would have liked to have hear it, but I got booted again. So
We didn't even discuss this with me. First of all, second of all, you changed the music, but you don't change anything else. What's wrong with you?
Well, yeah, the audio sound different.
It was all the same audio except for mine. All of it was the same audio except for mine.
All of it should have been changed. If you're gonna do a remix, you do a remix right. So
why do we need a whole remix when we could do a little bit of a remix?
We do a whole remix and
tiny, like a little smidget of like you know when they hit the mixtapes, but they got the same mixtape, but they throw a new song up in there. It's like that. It's like that. What? Anyway, what is going on, good people? We talking. You probably like what is four influential wrestlers and managers and stuff. We talking Mount Rushmores for the next 2 weeks. So this is gonna be live stream for the next 2 weeks. So you just be prepared. Just go sit down. It's a marathon of Mount Rushmores. But
also, I like how DJ didn't notice I changed the title of the video.
Shark Boy Muzzle. This is why we can't have nice things.
This is why nobody's going to watch this video. This is the reason. But as always, be sure in the comments you leave your Mount Rushmore. We're first going to go over our individual Mount Rushmores in terms of this is for singles wrestlers in particular. Next week will be tag team wrestlers. I think we did a women's one way back when. We may revisit that possibly. I don't know. But first, slated we have, tonight, which is the, singles wrestlers. And then, of course, we'll go, with tag teams next. We wanted to keep it as wrestlers because, once you start getting into, like, manager, like, if we were to try to add everybody in, I think it would almost be too hard to figure out. Adam was talking about this, like, where, like, you'd almost have to add Vince if you were going, most influential people in wrestling. You probably could add a manager or two in there possibly, as well. Like it might even be where it's like a Mount Rushmore, but it's like one wrestler, one manager, one influential overall person, and one more insert here, right? Type thing. I think that would be kind of difficult for all of us to do. But starting out, we're gonna go with our Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. Who wants to start? Anybody in particular? Y'all want me to start, or who is feeling like, you know what? I gotta let the people know. This is mine.
So are we doing all four, and then the next person doing all four, or are we just gonna do one? The next person does their one.
I would say.
I think each person does one.
Let's do one and kind of a brief little synopsis of why you did one. I think that's a good way to start it. Casey, I kind of want to start with you because I want to see what you gonna come out with first. I want to see what you coming out with first.
Okay, what am I gonna come out with the first? Like that? Which one do I want to go with? Like I got my list. I do. I got my Mount Rushmore. And that's actually what it's called. It's called Mount Rushmore. They just shortened it. You know what?
Mount Rushmore.
We're going with the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, baby. Bret Hart. Got to go on there. Uh, you know, one of the greatest wrestling families of all time, period. Um, he did so much for the business, especially in that kind of sort of new generation of the WWF. He was arguably one of the most popular WWE superstars ever. A lot of people, and there's that age old argument of you're either a Bret Hart guy or you're a Shawn Michaels guy, and some of those people are wrong, and then the other ones are Bret Hart fans. So there's not really much more you can say about Bret Hart that hasn't already been said. I mean, one of the best technical wrestlers out there. He could also go with, he could hang in there with the high flyers. He can hang in there with the big men. Just an all around good wrestler. I feel like he was one of the few wrestlers that had all of the in ring assets. Now, mic skills weren't really there, but I let that slide for somebody like Bret.
Okay.
Bye, Adam.
They didn't say bye. That's disrespectful.
Why you do this?
Well, it automatically did it when Adam left. So it automatically doesn't when Adam leaves. So because it's only three of us, I guess it assumes we want to be on the side by side. I don't know.
Stop assuming.
For me, I'm gonna go. My first one, I'm gonna go Ric Flair. Ric Flair, ironically enough, I think in his prime, I feel like Ric Flair kind of had two primes, but Ric Flair in his prime was before my time. But my mom was a huge fan of Ric Flair, but I think I think there's no way you can mention wrestling without Ric Flair being in it. He's accomplished everything you can ever accomplish in the wrestling business, winning world titles everywhere he goes. But at the same time, it's just everything about him. He had the promo skills. He had the promo skills that made you almost hate him, but the charisma that made you be like, I kind of look up to this guy. He was dirty. He played the heel perfectly. Like he was the perfect heel. And I don't think I don't know if there's anybody who defines wrestling quite like Ric Flair. And regardless of anything going on, personally with him in terms of in the ring, in terms of wrestling. Ric Flair is one of those guys. I mean, still to this day, if you hear a Woo chant, you just know, like one of the more synonymous chants that you'll literally hear anywhere, probably for to the end of time. So, Justin, who you got first on your Mount Rushmore, your wrestling Mount Rushmore?
So I don't really have any particular order here, and I'm kind of going opposite Casey here. So his was Bret Hart. And of course, Casey's gonna say I'm wrong here, but hey, everybody has their own opinions.
And yours is wrong.
Hey,
he's obviously going with Owen Hart, guys. Come on.
Hey, that
it's
was
gonna be Hardcore Holly, Crash Holly,
Spike Dudley,
Sparky Plug,
Mark Andrews. Okay, so
don't you dare disrespect Andrews like that, sir.
Okay, so my first one is the Heartbreak Kid, Mr. WrestleMania himself, Shawn Michaels.
Yawn.
What?
Yawn.
No. I mean,
forever burying Shawn Michaels.
He's always gonna bury him. I mean, there's not much I could. I mean,
you damn right.
I mean, there's not much else to say about Shawn Michaels. I mean, he's Mr. WrestleMania.
You literally said nothing about Shawn Michaels, and then you're like, "There's not much more you can say."
It's all been said, but
it's all been said. I mean, I really wasn't there to watch him in his prime. During the '90s. Like he really came around the mid '90s after he broke away from Marty Jannetty. he really became, started becoming, like, hey, this guy could be a main eventer. This guy could be a big star. And like his character work, with his flamboyance, with the way he came down to the ring, he had some of the greatest WrestleMania entrances. When you think of WrestleMania, you think of like over the top entrances when he's coming down, zip line into the ring. Like some of the over the top stuff that Shawn Michaels did. And his character work is great, but I mean, there were times, and there were some negative points in his career. Like during, with the whole Montreal screw job, all of that. That was kind of negative and all that. So I mean, he does portray, in the late '90s, he does get portrayed, really bad. But Shawn Michaels has to be in my Mount Rushmore because I really like his second stint in WWE when he came back in 2002. That's what I really saw him more, and that's what hooked me into wrestling. So yeah, Shawn Michaels.
And I do want to say this before Adam gives his number one guy, not number one in order. Just
so that was the second time I got arrested.
So after we all reveal our Mount Rushmores, we're going to try to collectively come together and make a Mount Rushmore. It's probably going to be a pretty good little argument, but let's see what we got. So just to fill Adam back in, so I said Flair. Casey said Bret Hart. I would say Hart, but you might think Owen. You might think Owen. So
he said he was thinking of Jim the Angle Neidhart.
He said Brady Brett, and then of course Justin said Shawn Michael Hickenbottom. So Adam, who is first on your Mount Rushmore, and not in any particular order, just saying first. Oh, okay. There.
Bye.
Okay, so let's go to second on the Mount Rushmore. Maybe Adam will just give his and.
There he is. Wait.
Maybe. Oh.
He got pulled out of his car. He's got arrested.
So that was the second time I got arrested.
No, that was the third time.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on because this happened last episode. Like
public intoxication.
I'm in a spot, whether it be my car or where I'm at.
Quick, give me number one before you get kicked out again.
It's not a good spot. It's not a good spot. I wouldn't call it a high spot.
Adam?
I don't think it's gonna work. All right, number two. Number two for all of us.
Number two.
Okay, here we go. He's back. Adam, first on your Mount Rushmore?
Doink the Clown. No. No. And again, just before I get freaking cut off again, I'm going to say Austin.
Okay, Austin.
Austin Theory.
That's a good one. Theory Austin. Okay. Okay. Casey, who's your number two?
My number two. Going with the man with three H's. The hunter of the Helmsley family. The Triple H's. No, I've always had a love-hate relationship with Triple H, but he was one of the main wrestlers that got me into loving pro wrestling, and he's done so much. He's been, I forgot how many times he's been WWE champion at this time, WWF WWE champion.
It's like 11 times, I think. I thought, honestly, Casey, I thought he was going to be the one to beat Flair's record. I thought that's what they were going for.
I did too.
And I mean, I hated him. Like, you're talking about like one of the first heels I really hated, Triple H, because he won every freaking thing. By hook or by crook, the man won everything. I was so upset.
And he was one of those guys who could make you hate him. Like, just because, I mean, first of all, with DX, whether you loved him or you hated him, one of the greatest factions of all time. Then he married the boss's daughter, you know, storyline wise and literally. You know, he has such a he has his hand in kind of so much in WWE. He was the COO of WWE for a while. I don't know if he still is. Um, you know, NXT was basically his baby, which I mean, look at what that turned into and what amazing stars that has churned out.
And look at what it's turned into after he was finished with it.
Exactly, exactly. After he was kicked, after he was booted. But I mean, he's done so much, and he's stuck with one company the entire time. You know, he wasn't one of those guys. I think he did originally have a run in WCW before he came to WWE. But what I mean by that is, you know, during like the Monday Night Wars, even after that, he didn't jump ship, you know, back to WCW, you know, anything like that. Similarly with like Edge, there's very few guys that have pretty much, for the most part, stuck with WWE through everything. And Triple H is kind of one of those guys.
Okay. Oh
God.
Adam. I mean, now, and I will say, you know, I think Triple H gets a lot of hate, unfortunately. But I do think he is quite in.
Go ahead, Adam. Say your blasphemy. That's right. Your phone won't let you. Oh.
It's really not letting me. It's not letting me. Period.
Period.
Okay. Adam, do you have anything to say if you can?
I haven't even started. So where would you like me to start, sir?
I didn't know if you were frustrated at your phone or frustrated at Triple H being on Casey's.
No. I'm frustrated at this damn phone. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Again, whether it's like I said, the situation where I was just in, or like the spot I was just in, or my car. Never had this problem before. I really don't know, and I don't know how to fix it.
Shut your phone down and restart your phone. Do that. Try that.
IT for dummies. Reboot it.
Reboot
it. Okay, Justin, who you got? Number 2.
You know, I kind of want to go back to the Triple H thing again. You know, let's think of so the first like 25 WrestleManias. You know, you had Hogan and Triple H. You know, they ate up a lot of those main events. You know, like through
the latest.
I mean, this is
Triple H.
I mean, this is true. This is true. But I just wanted to say that that's just kind of crazy to think about. You know, those two ate up a lot of main events at WrestleMania.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you're the King of Kings.
Okay, but no, my number 2 is gonna be the People's Champ, the Great One, The Rock. What?
Not Shark Boy.
Not Shark Boy. I mean, maybe for TNA, maybe for TNA's Mount Rushmore, but not overall pro wrestling. You know, like overall. But yeah, The Rock. Yeah, that's definitely gotta be mine. I mean, The Rock and Stone Cold. You know, they really put the attitude. They put wrestling on the map. You know, during the Attitude Era.
Excuse me, and Triple H, bitch.
And Triple H was there. He was there. Triple H was there.
Don't give me that Triple H was there.
he was there. But it was mainly Stone Cold and The Rock. You know, them putting on their matches. You know, they're great.
And Taker.
You can't forget about Taker. You can't forget about, you know, a lot of those guys, you know, in their own ways, they put the Attitude Era on the map. They really did.
Sure.
And then even, you know, with The Rock, you know, transferring into entertainment, you know, transferring into the movie industry. You know, not very many wrestlers can do that. And The Rock succeeded with that.
Triple H did it.
It's not as good as The Rock. I mean, I'd rather watch The Rock movies.
You shut
your mouth when you're talking to me. Yeah, so my number 2 is gonna be The Rock.
Okay. 1 second, trying to get Adam back in here. Casey, I think he's gonna try to call you, and that'll be how we get his audio. So there we go. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Okay, we got him now. We got him now. Okay, I wanted him to call you so he could actually hear the audio since I'm on headphones. Okay, so you said Rock. I'm gonna go with the biggest rival of Rock, my personal favorite of all time, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Always, I don't know why, and I always kind of get my black card revoked for this one, for liking Stone Cold over The Rock every time. But I just, for some reason, I just like Stone Cold. I just always did. It was just something that drew me to him. But I mean, I love The Rock too. But I think I always felt like, even though The Rock, I think, made his bigger stardom outside of wrestling, I think Stone Cold is like 1A to 1B in terms of The Rock, for me. Plus, I mean, Stone Cold won all the matches, and The Rock ended up winning one when it was time for Austin to retire. So, I think Stone Cold top star there was in WWE. I mean,
did you just call The Rock a jobber?
No, I didn't call The Rock a jobber.
I thought you just called The Rock a jobber.
This is not.
Hey, how about you
me.
turn that son of a bitch sideways? You turn your whole statement sideways and you shove it straight up your candy ass.
This
okay?
is not.
Okay?
This
Thank
is
you.
not me. This is not me
Nope.
burying Shawn Michaels like Casey would. I'm
you
giving The
just
Rock his
buried-
credit. He was one of the top 2 stars in the Attitude Era, but he was not as good as Stone Cold. That's just. I mean, it's a fact. Like, there's
Adam was trying to say words. Shut up.
I do believe Justin just gave the picture-perfect example of how uncool to sound when quoting The Rock. You know what you can do? You can take that thing, you can shut up real nice, and you can shut up your candy ass.
Wherever your microphone is, just hold Adam up to it.
I'm doing that.
Okay, cool. Just making sure. But yeah, so for me, I just always loved Stone Cold. Like, he's always been my guy. Like, I mean, like before I had 100 boys, look, Stone Cold was my boy, and I probably gonna get taken out of context. But before everybody was my boy, Stone Cold was my boy. Okay, this was my guy. I still, to this day, like, love seeing Stone Cold, love watching the podcast.
Yeah, how many boys you got now?
Shut up. Just shut up.
That's a little sus.
Shut up. But for me, like, Stone Cold was just, he top star. I can't say enough about Stone Cold. Always going to be my favorite. And right under him is my other boy, Randy Orton. Always love Randy. All right, Adam, who you got on your Mount Rushmore number 2 spot?
Well, can I go back and just say, well, A, what my number 1 is, and no, it is not Doink the Clown. But my criteria for why I chose said superstars.
Okay.
Because, like, for one, I look at it a few ways. Obviously, success in the business, full board. Influence and mark on the, not that type of mark, and mark on the business as a whole.
Callaway on the business.
Yeah. So, number 1, like, obviously, as I was trying to say before, was Steve Austin. I mean, you pretty much, just filled in the gaps on what I would have said. I mean, he was the first true figure, performer, like, however you want to verbalize it, that I latched onto. Growing up, I was like, I'm a Hogan guy. Then I morphed into, I was more of a Randy Savage guy. Then once I started to understand a little bit more, I latched onto Steve Austin, of believability, wanting to see him thwart the bad guys and this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Steve Austin was my dude. And in terms of number 2, I will go with Hogan. And I understand the commentary on him from the last handful of years, but just strictly Hulk Hogan in the ring
business-wise, etc., you will find he's probably 1A in terms of box office, influence. Despite what anybody wants to say about, Terry Bollea, the guy, of what's happened about the last decade or so. He still is one of the biggest draws ever, even though he was more of a Vince Sr. and Vince Jr. creation from the mid-'80s. But, headline, 9 straight WrestleManias? Again, iconic theme, could cut a promo. Everybody wants to talk about the work rate. Being a good worker does not mean you do a bunch of cool moves. It's psychology. It's getting people, gaining sympathy, et cetera, et cetera. And
one of the best at it.
Boxes. So, and not to mention incredible babyface, maybe arguably an even better heel with the NWO turn. He was the total package, no pun intended. But yeah, for 2 on my list, Hogan with his lore of the business for WWF and WCW. To me, he should, even in an objective one, he should be on Mount Rushmore.
Okay. All right, back to Casey if he's still with you, unless he just dropped the phone down and ran away.
Yeah, I thought about it. I really did. I thought about it.
He's gonna go try to find Alexa.
I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him. Anyway, my number 3, in no particular order, as we've stated, is going to be Sting. Again, one of the wrestlers that really kind of, I guess, caught my imagination when I was a kid. There was just something about him. The quiet, didn't really say much. The face paint was always cool. No matter what Sting you got, whether it was, Surf Sting or, Crow Sting, and then the whole, storyline with NWO. Was he going to join NWO?
Top 3 best storylines ever.
Yes, absolutely. But again, one of those guys. He wasn't always the best. In ring. He was good, but he didn't need to be. You know what I mean? He was one of those characters that didn't need to do a lot in the ring. And Adam and I were kind of joking about this the other day about how, wrestling fans always complain about, so-and-so has the 5 moves of doom. A lot of the greats didn't have that many moves because they didn't need them. They had their big moves that you knew were coming and you expected them. But Sting was just one of those fan favorites that I feel like you couldn't not like him. And anyone that doesn't like Sting, I don't trust you and get out of my life. Period.
And for what you just described too, of he didn't have to have. He had more than the 5 moves of doom, but he was a believable babyface that could kick ass on the heel, but he had enough of an athletic build that you could see him do, the splash off the top or throwing a beautiful drop kick. But he was strong as a bull.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when he trimmed down whatever, though. I will always appreciate Surfer Sting the most, just because that's what draw people in. But Pro Sting, I think, I cannot stress enough how great that storyline is. When you are one of the most over characters and one of the highest selling merch in the company, and you have not had a match in 18 months, you're over. And he was exactly right, because in case he follow up with anything after this, when he when he finally put his stamp of what his agenda was in WCW, he didn't say that he was aligning with WCW, but he definitely told you he was not on NWO's side.
Yeah.
That final segment in Uncensored 97 is one of the most incredible finishes to a pay-per-view you will ever see.
Yeah. And my personal favorite version of Sting, I feel like was one of the shortest. That was the Wolfpack Sting. Because
I was about to say, don't you dare say Joker Sting.
No.
I swear, oh God.
That I love, just because I loved the Wolfpack. I was a Wolfpack fan, not Hollywood or anything like that. And I loved that he he finally joined the Wolfpack and everything. It was kind of short lived, but I liked it. It was the different, the black and red face paint. It was something different.
The spaghetti sauce face.
Sometimes you don't listen. Don't make me get the Gorgonzola gangsta on you. I will get you banned from all of the Olive Gardens. But
That's a deep cut. It's a deep cut.
But you mentioned the Joker Sting. That was a low point, but at the same time, I feel like we got to see a little bit more of his kind of personality in TNA. I feel like it was less Sting and more Steve Borden just kind of doing what he wanted. Because I feel like, if you had that status, especially in TNA, you just did whatever you wanted because they weren't going to tell you not to. But yeah.
Ask Jeff Hardy about
that. Well.
Yeah. We'll try to forget about that match.
Well. At least he ended it. He ended it quick.
I agree.
I don't think Jeff Hardy even remembers that match.
He doesn't.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He certainly does not remember that match. And we try not to remember it either. Justin, why is your camera on again? Why you turned it off and then we put the over anyway? Next.
Adam, who you thinking?
Who you got?
Who you got?
I have Richard
Charlotte Flair. It's obvious.
Okay. Rickland Florensky.
I mean, I think you just said it right on the money on what I was saying. Yeah. No, Ric Flair, the true last remaining traveling NWA champion, and did what had been done the previous 65 years, by that point, and to me, the true element of a traveling champion, but I mean, in terms of, again, business, all that stuff, and I mean, he's more over now in terms of pop culture with rappers than any time in history, whatever. I mean, there's football teams that reference him, like Pat McAfee drops Flair quotes all the time, but and not to mention being head of probably the greatest faction ever with the Horsemen. But I mean, again, another thing where it's he kind of had his, I don't want to say scripted match, but he had his, greatest hits in terms of a match, whatever though. But with the Flair face flop, figure four, trying to go for the crossbody off the top, always gets thrown off. Chops, et cetera, and then the endless great promos. I mean, my shoes cost more than your house. This is why this coat costs $800 and that costs $200. And I don't know how much that costs, but I'd be ashamed to wear it. Just on and on and on. I mean, again, another one I think that if you were to put it on an objective Mount Rushmore, belongs there.
Justin, who you got?
One second, I have to correct you on something. The greatest faction of all time is the Oddities. Move along.
Everybody come to the greatest show. Everybody come to the. I am listening that on the way home.
So my number 3 is going to be DJ's First Ever Boy. First Ever Boy. Yeah.
Way to put it.
Like, damn. He's never had a match and he's the most over of the boat.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. Stunning Steve Austin. That's him. That's him. What? You know, there's nothing else to say about Stone Cold. I mean, you guys have said everything there is to say about Stone Cold. So, I mean,
Okay.
You know, I mean, he had some of the greatest rivalries, you know, against Vince McMahon, you know, going up against your boss, you know, like his character is so relatable, you know, like when, you know, have you ever wanted to rebel against your boss, you know, go say, hey, you know, fuck you, boss, you know, like, no, I don't really mean that, but you know, but have you ever wanted to rebel?
We're just expecting Justin to be fired after tomorrow, so
well,
I'll take care of that.
Put in my 2-week notice.
Justin, you want to explain yourself?
But have you ever wanted to like tell your boss off? Like that's what people can relate to Stone Cold, and like even when he's a bad guy, people still cheered him. That's how over Stone Cold was. I mean,
It's true.
And he's another guy who put the Attitude Era on the map. Like there's so many guys who did that. But
sidebar. I think Adam missed this. So Justin's first was HBK. Literally didn't say anything about Shawn Michaels, and then he was like, you know, there's not much more I can say about Shawn Michaels.
I started saying stuff. I said some stuff.
He ain't wrong. I mean,
and then I buried him again.
Buried.
Of course you did.
You're the worst.
Can't say much about HBK, but I'm not gonna say anything instead. Okay.
And that's all I got to say.
So mine.
By the way, I think just as a little sidebar, I think everybody too. If you were to suggest one match from each person on your Mount Rushmore, what would it be?
Like one dream match or one match in
like one that he's had. I mean, the dream matches. I mean, it's exactly that. I mean, especially with most of these guys way past their prime, but like ones that they've had. You know, what would you say for Austin? What would you say for, you know, like for me? I mean, I've got mine prepared, but if y'all want to throw y'all's out there,
I have an honorable mention. I got a couple here. Can we have an honorable mention? Yeah.
An honorable mention for the Mount Rushmore or for the match?
For the match. Yeah.
Why do you need an honorable mention when we can just throw that as the match?
Well, I got a couple matches I like for a couple guys here.
Okay. Good.
I mean, actually, no. Well, these two guys are both on my Mount Rushmore. So you know, my match is going to be Undertaker and Shawn Michaels from WrestleMania 25.
Did you just spoil your last one?
I mean, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. I don't know.
Tragedy.
Tragedy. It's tragedy.
I've been waiting all night for your last one. Come on, this is real. This is real.
Ruined it.
Spoiler. Wait, did you change the title again?
Just ruined it.
I ruined it. I'm sorry. I ruined it.
This is why.
Well, for the ones that I have so far, because I don't want to spoil mine. The one that I have so far, I would say Flair and Shawn and Flair's retirement match for me. Austin and Rock, X7, and Hogan. Probably Hogan and Rock. I like Hogan and Andre, but I think Hogan and Rock has a little bit more place in my heart because I was, actually living and breathing and understanding. Yeah. So I'll get to the next one later. And I might have an honorable mention for that one too, involving one Randall Keith Orton. But anyway.
I was gonna say right off hand, And again, not saying that this is my favorite match, but I'm just saying like that one that comes to mind if I were to suggest a match to somebody. Steve Austin versus Savio Vega, Beware of Dog 96 in a strap match. They beat the shit out of each other. And that match is straight fire. Hogan, I got
Hogan Warrior.
Hogan Warrior, WrestleMania 6. I mean, they're connective tissue there. That's a Pat Patterson booking right there, and literally the best match of Warrior's career. I take that back. One of his best. The best match Warrior ever had was Warrior Savage WrestleMania 7.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
In my personal opinion. And then with Flair, I'll be just because Casey had him on his list. Flair, Sting, Clash of the Champions '88.
Yeah.
Okay. Casey, you got any on top of your head?
So, Sting, I see now that you mentioned that, this might be a cheat, but
Probably
it's
Please save the Thunder Cage.
no.
I beg of you.
No. Honestly, any match with Sting and Flair, you cannot go wrong. You
Cheater.
Am I wrong though? I mean, you're not old enough. You're not old enough to know, but
Hey.
I'm not wrong.
Hey.
I'm not wrong. Brett, you got to go with Bret Austin, Mania 13. One of the greatest matches of all time. The storytelling, the turn, the visual of the blood coming down Austin's face. You can't beat it. Macho Man, I don't want to say Steamboat just because that's so. I mean, it is a great match. It really is. But like, I'm gonna say it. That or like you said, Warrior. Both of them great matches. Triple H. That one I got to think about. Justin.
Oh, okay.
But may I offer you a suggestion?
What's that?
Triple H Rock ladder match, SummerSlam '98.
Ooh.
I got
Triple,
there, so I got
Triple H, Cactus Jack in the
I gotta watch that one.
Hell in a Cell.
in the freaking
Shut up, everybody
not that one, but the freaking street fight for Cactus's career.
Oh, that's another.
That's the one that burns in my memory.
I got another one.
Yeah.
Taker and Triple H Mania 17.
You mean with the greatest ref bump of all time?
Yes.
To the back and he was down.
Yes. Yeah. That's the one right there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That is a good one. That is a good one.
Are we on our number 4 yet?
No. I need to get my other match here.
Oh my god! How many matches you got?
I got 2. You guys gave a whole bunch. I got
11.
I got
we gave one for each superstar. It makes sense.
Well, no. I just got 2 right here.
But he got honorable mentions and
Anything with Sting and Flair.
So my number 2 is gonna be
The
Rock and Stone Cold, but now from 17. It's gonna be the one from 19. Because that's what's that?
Hollywood Rock, right?
Yeah, Hollywood Rock.
Ooh.
Everybody remembers Act 3.
Ooh.
And then that's the first one I ever watched. That's why I first started watching wrestling in 2003. So
Okay.
You were like 2.
I was 5 actually. I was 5 years old actually, and I didn't know nothing about nothing at that time.
Or Steve Smith for like 3/4 of the match.
All right, we're on to number 4.
I actually just
number 4.
watched that match the other day.
Yeah. We've on the quad.
The what?
On to number 4. Casey, you haven't given your number 4, right? You or Adam?
It's not. I mean,
Okay,
technically I did, but now-
since y'all been going for a while, I'm gonna go to Justin first, then come back to y'all.
wow.
So
Wait, I didn't even get my number 3 yet. Hold up. I didn't get my number 3 yet, and it's not The Rock. I know I did the impression, but not The Rock. It's
Chavo
gotta be
Guerrero.
John
the
Cena.
Hulkster,
Oh.
the Hollywoodster, the Hoganster. Okay, it's got to be Hulk Hogan. This is just one of those that kind of like Adam had said before. I don't think you can make a wrestling Mount Rushmore without Hulk Hogan. Ability to tell a story. Shut up. Ability to tell a story in the ring. Ability to wrestle. I think is also. I think one of those things where people are like, "Oh, we can," but he only got 5 moves. He didn't need but 5 moves. All the dude needed to do was Hulk up, and that was about all you needed. And the leg, that was it. That was all you needed from him. The big boot and the leg drop. That's it. And do like this a couple times, and we're good. Okay, we're happy. And body slam Andre. That's it.
Well, everybody's trying to talk at the same time.
Casey made a good point before, and people, again, jump to the move. And Casey brought up a really good point. The Bucks have the same high flying moves. So if we want to dissect it, it's like yes, Hogan's got he's got the boot to the face, the leg drop, this that and the other. Young Bucks, more bang for your buck. The Meltzer driver, freaking Nick Jackson, worst finisher ever. By the way, FTR did it better than they did. Just want to point that out. But I mean, Nick Jackson does a little loop into the second rope and does the backflip on the comeback. I mean, it's the same principle. It's the same principle. It's like, well, he's only got a couple of moves. Well, so does every high flyer you've ever loved.
True. I mean, I just think I can't think of professional wrestling without Hogan. Hogan started. I mean, between Hogan and Flair, really started the big wrestling boom. I mean, Hogan, of course, started what we now know as the WWE before WWF, right? So I just feel like I can't do a Mount Rushmore without Hogan. In terms of like what wrestling is today, the reason that wrestling is the way it is today starts with Hogan, I feel like. And I mean, he's been, impactful in several ways, kind of like Adam had said with the NWO, one of the best heels we've ever seen. Of course, one of the best faces we've ever seen. Could cut a promo, get you involved, like just, even to this day, like kind of can still get you excited for, whatever event that he's like emceeing or whatever. So Hogan. For reasons.
What are those reasons?
Don't want to talk about him. Justin, Justin, number 4.
I mean, I kind of gave it away if you
You did.
I mean,
that's
I kind
why
of
we're
gave
going to you first because you spoiled it for us.
So my number 4 is gonna be the Immortal. Oh, wait, no, nothing. Well, I mean, he's immortal, and he's a dead man.
Wait, what?
He's immortal. Yes, he's immortal. He's a dead man. And
How is he immortal but dead?
Hey, you could be immortal and dead. You could be both.
No, you can't. That is
the immortal dead man.
The immortal dead man. I got the dead man here.
It's obviously Biker Taker, right?
You know it's Biker
it's Chuck
Taker.
Palumbo, right? When he rode the bike.
It's Mark Calloway. I got the Undertaker.
So it's fake Undertaker. Okay.
What?
Fake Undertaker.
Fake Undertaker. It's Kane. Kane.
Casey, your next TikTok video for the page, can you please dub Real American with Taker's entrance?
Yeah. I mean, Undertaker. I mean, like I say, a lot of his matches, early on in his career, they weren't the greatest. But I tell you, the way he came down to the ring and like his entrance and his gear, like he was so mysterious. People go like, "Oh,
the way he walked to that
the way he walked to the ring and the way the kids were so scared they were about to shit their pants.
Whoa, you watch your language.
They were so scared of the Undertaker they had to run away from the TV because they didn't know what this man was all about.
The immortal dead man.
He's the immortal dead man. Yes, that's it's gonna get that. Go start tweeting that.
Tragedy. All right.
But I tell you what, when he first started having great matches, like his WrestleMania matches, was probably at WrestleMania 17. That's when he first started having great matches. Like that's his like.
It took him that many manias to start having good matches. Wow.
His greatest match of all time was Giant Gonzalez.
No. His first one was against actually Jake the Snake Roberts.
Actually, his first one was Jimmy Superfly Snuka.
I mean that was.
Oh.
That was WrestleMania 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam, Casey, who's on next on y'all's lists? Any matches you want to go with it?
All right.
In the immortal words of the dead man. Go ahead.
I don't think he ever said that.
You don't think when Kane had anybody up for the tombstone, he wasn't just like, go ahead?
In fact, I think I remember him saying that just that casually too. Go ahead. Anyway, my number 4 is somebody that was not casual at all. The Macho Man, Randy Savage. I don't think there's a wrestling fan ever who hasn't done a Macho Man impression, a Dusty Rhodes impression,
or had a Slim Jim
impression.
Did you say a Slim Jim impression?
Oh my God! Let me talk words.
I was saying or had a Slim Jim, but
I have had a Slim Jim, but one of the most iconic characters, literally characters in professional wrestling of all time. Incredible in the ring, a bit of a perfectionist, but I mean, look at what it turned out. Some of the greatest matches of all time. A little paranoid, a little, and
you mean like having security cameras inside Gorgeous George's house?
Yeah. That was a little too far, but it's fine, because he did churn out the greatest rap album of all time. I don't think we can, argue that. Be a man, Hulk. I'm done.
Okay.
Be a man, Hulk.
He was rapping like he had a little bit of that booger sugar.
Adam.
Well, I don't know about the immortal one, but I would go with the Phenom, The Undertaker. One of the most iconic characters, longevity. And I say believability in the context of how Mark depicted that character. Like you could buy it because on the surface, reading it on paper, on the surface, it sounds ridiculous, but the way that he bought into the character, and not to mention, like, I still argue it's one of the best face turns ever, just from the simple, subtle, and the fact that he did not change. The fans turned him face.
Mm-hmm.
And when he turned on Jake Roberts, and Jake Roberts says, like, whose side are you on? And Taker just says, not yours. Perfect. And I have no shame of saying this, because if anybody has never experienced the Undertaker's entrance live, I was at SummerSlam 2008. Taker, Edge, Hell in the Cell. But just the presence, the pomp and circumstance, and the pageantry of his entrance brings me to tears. It's that beautiful. Just because, yes, I understand he has the slow trudge, but like it's the Undertaker. It just draws you in. I love his entrances. I had an affinity and I had an appreciation for the American Badass gimmick just because he got to finally be himself even for a couple of years. And I think me and Casey talked about this. He did not want to go back to the Dead Man even during that run. And they were trying to kind of, give him the Iggy on, like, man, I'm telling you, the audience wants the Dead Man back. And, it turns out that the rare times that, the office or the creative was actually right. But again, it was the Dead Man, but again, new reincarnation. So it was a perfect transition going from him being himself back to the quote character, and he did it just as well. And based on his Hall of Fame speech, we shall see. But
Never say never.
Never say never.
Please no.
Yeah, please. He's gonna be at the next Saudi show.
Just for that, I want him to main event Mania next year, just because of that right there.
He's gonna be at the
main event Mania in Saudi Arabia.
No. He's going
to go against bald Shawn Michaels.
Listen. I would love it, but at the same time, like, what more can he do? What more?
It's fun.
But I will piggyback on the live aspect because I saw him at WrestleMania
29.
Which one? I think twice at WrestleMania, and then I saw him return live at SmackDown 1 year. And when they tell you there's no feeling like the Undertaker live, that entrance, they're not kidding. Like you can't even describe it. You literally have to be there to experience it.
This is very true.
It's amazing.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like I said, aside from Jonathan Gresham and Jay Lethal, which is the best professional, like pure professional wrestling match I've ever seen in person in Columbus for ROH. On a grand scale, Edge, Taker, live, that's the best match I've ever seen.
The Hell in a Cell match from SummerSlam?
Hell in a Cell match, whatever. Again, them going outside of the cell and Edge doing the spear spot, that got the, and again, obviously I'm biased because I was there, but loudest holy you-know-what chant I've ever heard. Because it was crazy. It was crazy. Now, based on where our seats were, I got my legs cut out underneath me in terms of the enjoyment of watching what was on screen, because when he choke slams him from the top of the ladder into the ring, I saw him move out of the way before the flames came up that opening. I'm like, no. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, Adam, did you want him to stay there and get burned alive? Yes, I did.
Yes, I did, damn it.
I wanted to see that happen, darn it.
Yes, I did, damn it.
Yeah, I want to see a public execution. But anyway, but I just Taker, like I will say that it is probably the best wrestling gimmick that's ever been presented in the business. Just for the fact of that character could have gone way south and only lasted a couple of months. He made it last 30 plus years.
And I mean, the only thing that really could compare to seeing Taker live, honestly, would be the birth of Mae Young and Mark Henry's son.
Hand.
Can anybody mute this man?
Hold on. I got you.
All right.
There we go.
Y'all don't understand how hard it was to stay serious for that. Y'all really don't understand.
I can hear it. You're like, this is no. Mark Henry's
hand son. His handsome hand son.
If I'm ever on the stand in court, don't ever be my witness.
I think from now on we need to refer to him as Mark Henry's handsome hand son. because he's a hand and he's handsome.
So for
and he's
me,
a son.
the
He's a hell of a hand.
the
That's a
fourth
hell
one
of a
on my
hand.
list.
It's the hand, right?
Yes.
Give your old man a hand, Dad. I have a hand.
As we get ready to round this one out, and of course we're going to try to make our own here. I'm going to try to mention the ones that we have at least on other people's lists to see if we want to keep them around or ditch them for our overall podcast list or whatever that we're going to try to create here in a second. So for me, my fourth and final one, a lot of people might have some problems with
It's
this
Chavo.
one.
Super Cena.
Not China. It's not China. China. It's not Chavo. It's not China either.
Michael Tarver.
So a lot of people might have some problems with this one.
It's
but
Tarver time.
I could care a darn less about it. My last one is John Cena. And because I'm always going to give Cena credit for this, right? When no one wanted to take the reins of the WWE,
and we're not talking about Roman Reigns.
After the Benoit tragedy, guess who stood up and took it? John Cena. Through anything that he ever went through in terms of the having to make up this rapping gimmick because his gimmick sucked and he was generic. Also, being the most hated face we may have ever seen in our lives, he still kept with it, and he sold, and also he was the guy. Is he the greatest wrestler of all time? Probably not. But dang on it, he's in the Mount Rushmore. He sells merchandise. He can have a good match. He's just as good as Hogan in the ring, dang on it. I promise you. Cena deserves to be on this Mount Rushmore for me. I'm always going to give Cena his credit simply because
he has a 5-star match. AJ, Roman, etc.
Facts. So
I tell you what the best Cena match was. The best Cena match was him and Rob Van Dam at One Night Stand.
That was a good match, but I'd almost say for the kind of surprise of it, I say Cena and Kevin Owens.
Oh yeah, from was that from Chamber?
Man, KO's got some buzz from NXT, but they're not going to have him beat John. Oh shit! KO beat him.
Yep. I just Cena's just a guy I'm gonna always give my respect to. I think he gets some unwarranted hate and always has for being quote pushed down our throats. And maybe he was, but at the same time, he was the top guy that they had, and you can't be great without winning. So Cena it is. I think he's still tied with Flair for the record. I hope he beats it. As much as I love Flair,
I thought he did beat it. I thought he was 17 time.
He's tied it, right?
Yeah, he's still tied.
Yeah, he's still tied, and he may not beat it. But if there's anybody that I wanted to beat it, at first, like I said, I thought it was going to be Triple H, but then when Cena came along and got pretty close, I was like, okay, it's going to be Cena, and if he comes back, it might be Cena, it might not, I don't know, but nonetheless, I think he deserves all the praise and even more of the praise that he gets. So Cena is my last one. Like I said, Cena and Owens, I would say for probably my favorite match of his, just because it was so surprising, and he put on a darn good match. And also Cena's one of those guys too that especially later on in his career, tried to keep up with guys and not to the point of I gotta be ridiculous, but to the point of whoa, I didn't even know Cena could do that. So I think that
throwing the steel steps.
Okay, maybe not. But and also I think the one thing I think a lot of the gripes about Cena that a lot of people have are not necessarily Cena's fault. The 5 moves of doom is not Cena's fault, but obviously he can do way more moves than 5. In terms of the booking, with him being a guy who was on everything and everything is not necessarily his fault. He just took the TV time that was given to him. So I think, I don't know. I feel like Cena deserves more respect than
years. This time of the you know, when he's on,
This
I don't
time
even.
of day, it's time for you to go to bed.
Yes, it is time for me to go bed because it's past my bedtime. You hear me? No. You know, I should give Cena. You know, I give him more respect now. There was a time where I didn't respect him that much, but now
Wow.
where I don't see him on my TV that much, I go, you know what?
I mean, I'm
And,
just trying to
and
figure out
then when he comes back,
I'm just trying to figure out, Justin, who was taking the ball after the Benoit tragedy, and you got this crazy steroid scandal, and wrestling is just in the absolute pooper when it comes to controversy. There was nobody controversy.
controversial.
Sparky plug, damn it.
I mean, maybe, right? Maybe they were gonna bring Maven back to you know, to take the reins, you know.
How
But
do you like me now?
so that's mine. So I'm gonna go through the list of people that we all had on our list, which isn't a long list actually. So that's kind of good. So we got a good starting point. All right, we're gonna try to make a collective round Rushmore. Collective Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore.
So we got Bret Hart, Triple H, Stone Cold, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Cena, Sting, Taker, Macho Man, Shawn Michaels. Anybody we want to add in? Like anybody that like just didn't make anybody, or should we just keep it as the people we had? Because there's only one guy I can think of to add in, and that's just because he's had an impact in several different companies. No pun intended. Which will be Kurt Angle. I don't know if he'd make. I don't know if he'd make a Mount Rushmore per se, but I feel like he was pretty. He was really good in WWE. Probably if he had the run that he maybe deserved in WWE, he probably would have been even better. But then, of course, he was very much so influential when it came to TNA and really helped put them on the map with the Samoa Joe feud.
What about the son of a plumber though?
Ooh, Gene, I've not been this happy since my first date with Childhood. Everybody knows I can dance circles around you.
All right. Anybody?
I'll give you one. Just because of just the impact he had, whether it be in AWA, you know, Oregon, you know, Canada, you know, up until he got lined up with Vince Piper.
All right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My pen's not working anymore, but Piper. Well, and we'll start with those two since we're just adding them in on the back end. All right. So let's start with Piper, right? Do we want to like move him on to the next round of our final four of a list of let's just think, is there anybody that must go on? I think
I tell you, Hogan must go on.
Does everybody agree that Hogan must go on?
Hogan must pose, pal.
Yeah.
Casey, you're full of it.
So we got three people against one. Yeah, so Hogan's gonna be on there.
And also, I'm gonna say too, the main people who had at least 2 votes collectively were Hogan, Stone Cold, and Taker. Do we want to just go ahead and move them on?
Yes.
Because obviously we all agreed that, or in some capacity, more than one of us or more than 2 of us agreed that.
I did not agree to either of those.
Well, your opinion is irrelevant.
Well, so one of them's Taker.
I mean, I agree with Taker, but I did not agree with both of them.
The other one was Stone Cold.
Shit.
I disagree.
I don't think you really do. You're having. Okay.
Same man that think Elias and Ezekiel.
They are 2. There's photo evidence.
Okay, so that means we got one more spot, right?
I don't know why you would Photoshop Chris Stapleton over Ezekiel.
We have Bret Hart, yay or nay?
Yay.
Okay, I'm just gonna put a Y beside it, and then we can go back through the yays and process of elimination. The Rock.
That
sounds like a nay, unfortunately. I would say nay too. So that'd be 3-1 if Justin wants to still put him in. Cena.
Nay.
I'm still saying yay. Dang on it. Okay. Sting.
We all said nay.
Sting.
Sting.
I thought you said Kane. I was
Sting's
saying
a nay
yay.
for me.
I hate you.
Comparative to the rest of the list, Sting's a nay for me. All right,
Exactly.
I said we were going to start with Angle and Piper, and I did the complete opposite. So Kurt Angle,
Nay.
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 I'm feeling nay. I mean, it was a good point, but I'm feeling nay, even with me. All right, Piper.
Shit.
Nay.
I'm gonna have to go nay.
Piper.
Nay.
I mean, we got to remember, Piper is in comparison to Triple H, Bret Hart, Macho Man, and Shawn Michaels.
I gotta go nay.
All right,
Yeah,
nay.
nay.
All right, so you got Shawn Michaels.
I'm going to say yay, but you guys are going to say nay.
Nay.
So.
Nay. Nay.
I mean, I would say I would be at least in the middle of the pack. So we're gonna keep Shawn Michaels for now. All right,
Nay is fuck, bitch.
we're gonna keep Shawn Michaels for now. All right, Macho Man.
Yay.
Yay.
I swear to God, Justin, if you say nay.
I'm going to say nay.
You
Just
son of
ignore the rap album.
Okay, I'm gonna put him middle of the pack one more time. We might just be going through the same thing here in a second. Triple H.
nay.
Nay.
All right, nay. All right, so now we're down to Macho Man and Shawn Michaels.
Wait, did we do Bret Hart?
Oh, sorry, Macho Man, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels. Out of those three, I'm taking Bret out.
I'm taking Shawn out.
I'm taking Brett out too.
Out of those, and let me tell you why. Out of those three, I'm taking Bret out simply because if
You're
we're
dangerous.
talking, we gotta remember too that Shawn started an entire revolution of smaller guys being able to be accepted in WWE.
Really?
That's influential to me.
I would push back on that. I would say Brett first.
Yeah.
Bret over Shawn?
Yeah.
Brett over Shawn. Because again, if you got to remember, they pushed Brett as a single for a while before they put him and Anvil back together. But once they fully split, Brett was the first to take the IC title.
And if I remember correctly, didn't they start pushing Brett as a singles before Shawn?
Yeah, they did.
Because Brett won the IC SummerSlam 91 and split in January of 92.
Okay, but what's the overall impact of it?
I know, and that's what I was
that's what I'm saying. So that's like the pushback.
Well, I was saying you said that Shawn made the. I'm like, no. I would say Brett first.
So you're saying Brett made the little guy feel okay? I got you.
Really, for what it's worth, the guy that really started that was Savage. But it just in terms of Brett and HBK, I would say Brett was first. Shawn propelled that stratosphere. So as much as it pains me to say, I gotta say nay to Brett just because Shawn had the longevity afterwards. His better matches. His second run,
and that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about like you said, the longevity. Of course, Brett can't help getting injured, right? I'll give you that. Brett can't help getting injured, but we're talking about Shawn, who spanned 2 decades of great matches, came back from a back injury and still had great matches.
They were all right.
Well,
allegedly. Okay, so how many nays we got to Brett?
Nay.
Yay.
Nay.
I got a nay too. So Brett's out. All right.
Who y'all?
All right, we got Macho Man and Shawn Michaels.
I love Brett.
Macho Man and Shawn Michaels.
I'm still saying yay to Shawn Michaels.
I'm saying yay to Macho Man.
I'm saying yay to Mach.
All right, we got Justin. We got Justin. So all right, I'm just for the fun of it. So
when did we have 2 Justins?
Sorry, we got Macho Man. We got
the fake Justin.
We got Adam and we got Casey. and we got DJ and Justin over here on the Shawn Michaels train, just for kicks and giggles of debate. So who's more influential, Macho Man or Shawn? Who is it?
Macho Man.
Explain.
It's Macho easy.
Explain.
Adam, would you like to?
Once again, I mean,
here's again, Shawn. You know, Shawn was the flashier worker, and like we all remember, the ladder match, WrestleMania 10. We remember, the match he had with Flair, which is a beautiful story, and he had a match with Kurt. He had a match with Jericho. So on down the line.
The retirement match with Flair.
I just said that.
The amazing match with Undertaker at WrestleMania 25.
I know, exactly. That's what
Will
I'm saying.
you let this man talk?
In terms of longevity, whatever, though, he showed that he could still go toe to toe. What I'm saying is, Macho was the first to give the level of believability to the guy that was, especially in the body era, in the body era, where you had the Hogans, you had King Kong Bundy, you had Andre, you had, again, big, larger-than-life characters. And then you had a guy, phenomenal shape, gave the pure definition of macho, if you will, but again, with the pomp and circumstance, et cetera, et cetera. Not to mention, I believe Macho cut a better promo as a heel and or a face. Shawn absolutely checks the boxes of being able to do both. More heel, I would say, more than anything else. And just for argument's sake of him going through the territory system, being able to touch all points of America. And again, Shawn went through the territory system too, but as a tag team.
But okay.
Pure individual success, I give the slight edge to Mach.
Okay, and my argument on the other side is, whereas Shawn, with the exception of one match that we really hope to forget, had a really good back end of his career. Once Macho went, left WWE, that was kind of it.
But up until then, he had done so much more than Shawn, I feel like.
Had he? We talk about like early years of their career. Well, yes, Macho Man did a lot, but I'm saying at the same time, you got the iconic ladder match. I mean, they both were legends up until the point they retired.
Right, but at the same time, you got to remember too, those type of matches. I'm not accepted, but those type of matches really didn't exist during Savage's era. So I'm just saying, just to be fair, I'm sure if that was if you were to actually, I'll take it even a step further. I believe Savage and Shawn, not a ladder match, but I was going to say they did eventually touch in the early '90s. So, but regardless, like to me, if you were to put Savage in his prime when Michaels was starting to get his push as a single, they're putting Savage over. Michaels would give him a hell of a match, but just in terms of how Vince thought at the time, he would put Savage over because he would have probably felt that he was the bigger star.
Yeah. Well, and also, I would argue without someone like Macho Man, we may not have had the Shawn Michaels that we did. The over the top, flamboyant, because at that time, Macho Man, there was nobody like him really. The intensity, the colorful gear, the colorful the over the top, this character that he was. Obviously, you had Warrior, around the same time, but I don't know if we would necessarily have the Shawn Michaels that we had.
I don't know.
Shawn Michaels could Shawn Michaels could not get the match that Savage got out of Warrior if the roles were reversed.
You don't think so?
I think he.
You don't think so? As good as a worker as Shawn was, you don't think he could have got that match out of him?
Shawn would bump and make him look like $1 million, but I'm just saying specifically at that time frame. I mean, Shawn was still with the Rockers. Shawn would bump and fly, and Warrior would not want to work with Shawn. Savage constructed that match. He got the absolute max amount out of Warrior. Now, again, if you were to put Shawn's already in his singles run, and he's starting to become a crafty veteran, maybe, but I would still give it to Mach.
Yeah.
And not to mention to a guy that, because I think he might have been right around the same height, maybe a little bit smaller than Shawn, height-wise. Who cares? But again, at the time, Savage, 5'11", 6 foot, but he carried himself like he was 6'5".
I will say,
like he was a big man.
I will say this: Shawn's ability to reinvent himself, though, albeit I will say, Macho Man's original character, which was great, and then the Macho King, which was great, was a reinvention / extension. But Shawn got the opportunity to completely reinvent himself by coming from a tag wrestler into a singles wrestler, which is not always an easy transition to make because, yes, there's usually a Bubba Ray and a Devon. There's usually a guy who shines as a singles guy and a guy who shines more within a pair. But I feel like Shawn's ability to reinvent himself still makes me want to go with Shawn. It still keeps me at the standstill, even though I think they're both deserving. I guess that's what's hard. Can we just add another spot and put an extra head on it?
Let me ask you this: in what realm? And I'm not even being argumentative. I'm just saying, in what way did Shawn reinvent himself per se?
I mean, if we're talking about, I guess it just depends. You can say from his time as a tag team to his time of working with Diesel to his time working alone.
But it was still the same gimmick.
Okay, so then he retires, comes back.
Same gimmick.
Was it though?
Yeah.
But was it?
Well, here's the thing. There's two, I guess three, but there's two main, in terms of a single run, there's two main Shawn Michaels.
I mean, even his time with DX is completely is different than his sexy boy gimmick. It's similar.
You're right, but that's what I'm saying. But I would say that was not necessarily a reinvention. That was more Michael Shawn Hickenbottom coming out more. But what I'm saying is that the DX Shawn was the early version of the Heartbreak Kid, which was the sleazy biker look, whatever. But it was turned up to 11. Now, if you want to flip flop it, to me, that would be there's a difference between reinventing yourself and finding that one niche that is consistent. Austin was, quote, Stunning Steve, which was a gimmick that was nameless, faceless tape. It was just your traditional cocky heel. Then he gets brought into the ringmaster for whatever damn reason. He was basically just brought in as your traditional carpenter, the guy that builds the house. But it wasn't until he tried to be that sadistic, almost like a cold-blooded killer, but it was him getting rid of DiBiase for him that he actually got to be himself. And then that springboard for, up to this day. Shawn, to go with Casey's point, it was a minor tweak because we obviously knew that he was a different person at that point. So there you have the biker, sleazy Heartbreak Kid, and then you have the Heartbreak Kid of him almost winning that match, him almost getting his retribution, all that stuff, but he breaks your heart. Particularly him having, up until a few years ago, the perfect retirement.
Yeah. Okay.
Savage. Savage was to me. Savage was that from the mid '70s on, even through when he started doing that terrible look where he was super roided up and had the new hairstyle. And again, it was still him, but that was one of those, he tried to reinvent himself, and I was just like, ugh. So I'm just saying for 25 plus years of pretty much the same guy was consistent, and I don't think anybody really got tired of it.
Okay.
Well, and
anybody got tired of Shawn, but you know what I mean.
And also, to me, at least from my perspective, growing up, I feel like I saw more of Macho Man in like pop culture, with the Slim Jim commercials, with he was obviously with other WCW wrestlers, but also on Baywatch, on different other commercials and things like that. I feel like you didn't really see Shawn on stuff like that as much,
And I don't think Shawn was exposed to it as much per se, but I see what you're saying. Let me give you another example. Taker. The only thing that really changed was your perception.
Yeah.
From the gray and black to the purple and black, the American Badass, that's a different thing. But it was, I would say it's part of his lore, but I still, wouldn't put it as the apex. I mean, hell, even at his Hall of Fame speech was just his different iterations, if you want to call it that, of the Dead Man gimmick. No mention of the American Badass at all in terms of the stuff that was behind him. But all it was the perception. The angle just tweaked a little bit. But it was still Taker. Like the integrity of what the character is and was supposed to be was still there. Now his work, I don't want to say got reinvented, whatever, but was polished. But it was still that character.
Okay. So my last point, and I think we can come to a decision.
I think we already came to a decision, Macho Man.
Do we feel like Michaels put more people over, or Michaels put himself over? Same thing with Macho Man. Like who did Macho Man elevate, and is that enough to sway the decision, or are we on one? Because I mean,
Macho Man,
because that's the thing. Like when I look at like Michaels, right? I mean, Michaels, of course, pretty much helped Triple H become who he became, right?
Right.
I think he elevated Razor, even though, of course, Razor was great already. But I think obviously they worked off of each other. I'm not saying that he put Ric Flair over, but that moment is an everlasting living moment that you're just going to remember. Of course, you had the iconic things with Brett.
Well, let's look at his Mania matches, and as a single. He had Tatanka. He had Rick Martel. He had Tatanka. He had he didn't wrestle. He had Diesel. Loses, but which has been a knock on him because they say, well, he only works with his friends. But I'm like, okay, I get that, but he still worked well with those guys. He's got 2 great ladder matches with Razor, and one solid match with Diesel. I mean, that's one of Diesel's better matches. Wins at 12, not there for 13. But you put Austin over. Then he had the lull. I mean, he was Savage. Savage, like I said, got a match, a great match out of Warrior. I want to say, I can't say that he made Steamboat, but he made Steamboat a bigger name. Savage has arguably one of the best year-long constructed storylines ever when he turned on Hogan.
Yeah.
Got the first intergender tag match at Mania 6, which was groundbreaking at the time. Like, it's happened, but nobody in the public eye really saw it. I mean, it's still almost to me a stalemate, just because they kind of have similar paths in terms of going into the apex of their career.
Flip a coin.
You know, I was thinking, I don't know if anybody ever comment on this, but if they do, maybe we'll let them pick.
Let's do a poll. We'll put a poll out.
All right, Randy Savage or Randy Savage?
I mean,
is it going to be Randy Savage or Randy Macho Man Savage?
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do, because I feel like you guys have made some good points. I'm going to go ahead and put Randy Savage in it, but I want like the people to vote underneath, and you know, in the comment section, and say who would you have made your, you know, of course, make your Mount Rushmores, but who would you have put as that final spot, since we were kind of deadlocked.
Let's put a poll out on Twitter and let's see what Twitter says.
Well, I was just going to say this too, and again, I think just to put things into perspective, this is obviously it's this, and there's no other question. Again, you ask my opinion.
Yeah.
Between the two, I would say Savage. There probably would be a large contingent of people that would say HBK because of, and I'm not even saying that you're wrong, just because that's what you absorb more is recency bias. Like I said, like I've watched Savage since I was 8 in the mid 90s, and then you know, as time has gone on, have the privilege of being able to go back and watch stuff from his dad's promotion, then again his stuff in Florida, you know, et cetera, et cetera. You know, just again in terms of the body of work, up into, especially in their primes, I give the slight edge to Savage. Shawn Michaels has the more profiled one, just because of there was no competition for up until 19, whatever. It was WWE, and that was it.
Okay.
But again, just my personal opinion.
I hate you so much. I think this was a good, definitely a good discussion.
We swerved you all. You know who?
It's obvious we're putting Michael Tarver as the final one.
Yes, we're putting Michael Tarver.
That it's obvious. Screw Michaels. Screw Savage.
I'm just trying to promote the podcast, my guy.
We're putting Michael Tarver as the last one. I mean, Casey's made the decision for us, so we appreciate that, Casey. He ended the stalemate for us, so I mean, as long as he ended it, I feel like I can go home comfortably. But as always, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We're definitely hopefully excited to get back. We're definitely excited to get back. And do the tag team Mount Rushmore next week. Hope you guys enjoyed. As always, we'll see you guys on the
yelling and screaming next week.
Oh, there is.
Probably. Hope you guys enjoyed. Definitely. We will see you guys on the next one. Until next time.
He means the flippity